Hello, welcome to this video. We're going to talk once again about quality of life in the middle of the island declining. And Channel 12 actually finally did the right thing and covered some of this stuff. And the first thing I want to talk about is this fire at this Wyandanch recycling plant. They actually spent 2 minutes and 33 seconds on it. Maybe they heard my rant yesterday, which is why I rant, because sometimes I think they know that they need to cover this stuff. So this is what we call environmental racism, all right? A fire at a Wyandanch recycling plant ignites concern about air quality. So we're going to play the story, and this was a huge fire last night, but I guess whatever reason it took them until today to cover it. But this is in East Farmingdale, right by Pine Lawn. It's Omni Recycling. So if we go to the maps and just show you where this is, it's another example of what we have in the middle of the island. We have all this industrial stuff that's just, I mean, I know it's been here for a while, but it's just... This is this whole industrial area here, right? But this is where Omni Recycling is. And this isn't the first time there has been a fire here. There's been other fires here before. And so this is right next to Pine Lawn, which is over here, which is the place I like to go to, as you know, as well as next to Wyandanch over here to the right, and East Farmingdale and Farmingdale to the left, and North Amityville to the south. So all these communities are impacted by this, and they all happen to be communities of diversity, middle class and diversity, not a lily white community. So it's no surprise that all these kinds of places get placed in these neighborhoods. There's another one here, all right, all the freight trains. This is another example of what we're going to have on the main line once that third track's going to be in there. They're going to be running a lot more freight trains. You're noticing that already, all right? So again, it's just another negative impact for life in the middle of the island. So let's play this story from News 12, which actually was News 12 today. They actually covered news today.
Plant in Wyandanch, and it's sparking calls for an environmental study. News 12's Krista McNally's at that plant with the story. Krista.
Good evening, Doug. We're outside of the Omni Recycling plant that had that major blaze, and now some are questioning the safety of the plant and why it was put in this community to begin with.
Yep, exactly.
You have stacks and you have air, and the toxins and pollutants do travel, and those in closer proximity are more likely to be impacted by it.
Stuart Moore is a lawyer who lives in Wheatley Heights and says he is absolutely concerned for the health of himself and his family, particularly after there was black...
Well, isn't that ironic? We're talking about a story about a fire and somebody setting off their smoke detector. I don't know if you can hear that. Oh boy, it stopped. Somebody just... all right.
Smoke billowing out of the Omni Recycling plant.
Whole middle of the island is burning down.
These types of recycling plants are placed in communities where people lack resources or have more rentals than homeowners.
Yep.
And those people, he says, are less likely to attend community meetings.
Yep.
There have been environmental impacts that seem to have a stronger impact and direct impact on the black and brown communities.
Moore is now calling for an investigation into the air quality around the Omni Recycling
environmental
plant.
racism.
The plant itself is surrounded by cemeteries in an industrial area.
There is an airport right there. There's a major shopping plaza right around the corner. There is a residential area on the other side of Southern State.
Legislator Jason Richburg oversees the area that encompasses the plant and not only wants to know the air quality impact, but also what started this major blaze to begin with.
Well, the environment is one of the major issues that we focus on in this district, and it's one of the major things that shape what we're doing.
Air quality can have impacts on the people who live near a potential problem, and many say this plant needs to be examined thoroughly.
A person should have a reasonable sense that they are going to be safe, that the environment is going to be safe.
Great story. News 12 actually
now,
did an
over
excellent job
120 firefighters responded to this blaze, and we are told there were no injuries reported. Now, we did reach out to the recycling plant for comment and have not yet heard back at this time. For now, we're in Wyandanch. Krista McNally, News 12, Long Island.
Okay, thank you, Krista.
And of course, back to that. But again, this is a classic example of look at all the industrial stuff that's placed. Look at all the, we're going to look at the map right now. I'm going to map out all the big recycling facilities and dumping facilities you have around. So we're going to just map them out right now. We'll just use the red marker, I guess. So we have, obviously, Jamaica Ash, which is east of Jamaica along the main line, somewhere over here. And then we have hopefully you can see that on my poll. Let me just zoom out a little more so we can get this whole map here in view here for you. All right. So this is what I call environmental racism. This is something I've been talking about for a while. So you have the Jamaica Ash facility over here in Hollis. All right. You have I forgot if that's Jamaica Ash also in Westbury, but another big junkyard facility in Westbury. Actually, there's 2 junkyards in Westbury. Then we have the junkyards in Farmingdale. We have a lot of them over here. All right. In East Farmingdale. Again, along the main line. All right. And now they want to build a new facility over here between Deer Park and Brentwood. All right. And they have one further out east. This is toward the end of the map here. You're not going to see it, but out east they have them toward Medford. And also they want to build. They also have a huge one in Yaphank as well. So it's all the middle of the island. All right. You know, they don't barely have any of these facilities on the South Shore. It's all the middle of the island. That happens to be where the middle class communities are, where the diverse communities are, and it's all part of the plan. You know, it doesn't get any clearer than that. So yeah, they want to build this facility right here, actually in this area right here. They want to build another waste facility. So all this waste is going to be processed and then hauled through all the mainline communities. Who knows what kind of toxins are going to be in it on these freight trains. I know some of my viewers don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with it because it's bad for the environment, all right? I have a problem with it because it disproportionately affects communities of color and middle-class communities, while the whitest communities on Long Island always seem to avoid these things, all right? And the other one that they built, I mean, they have another one out. And we got to remember there was a freight train derailment east of Ronkonkoma. Now imagine if that happened west of Ronkonkoma. Then the Ronkonkoma line would have been screwed up all day and probably suspended. All right? This is what we deal with in the middle of the island. And there goes that smoke detector again. That's not my smoke detector. It's someone else's. So if you can hear it, do apologize. People don't know how to cook around here and ventilate. But that's what it is when you know, I'm not even going to get into it. Stopped. All right, so so again, you have the Winters brothers. They want to build another facility over here in Holtzville, and then you have another facility here. This is the Winters brothers facility, actually the big one right here. They want to expand this and haul out a lot of this waste, these automobile parts along the main line, and then you have another one over here, the Brookhaven Rail Terminal, which is actually being expanded. So again, the whole middle of the island here is facing all of this, and it's all centric to the main line. And that's what kind of makes you wonder, all right, what's this third track project really all about? Yes, we'll have improved service, but we're also going to have more freight trains, risks for more derailments, risks for more fires, and environmental problems in the middle of the island. All right? So, of course, I'm going to be pretty furious about it, and I am. So let's get to the next story here about our quality of life in the middle of the island continuing to go down the drain. News 12 actually did a good job with this one as well. This is to do with Syosset. Yes, they are redlining Syosset, moving the problems in, and now people are getting fed up, and they're trying to speak up about it, and I really appreciate it. It's because Syosset, there are some people with money in Syosset. If this was happening in Mineola, we wouldn't even get a meeting. But it's still the matter is Syosset is not a lily white neighborhood. It's got more diversity. Even though those people have money, it doesn't matter because they're not white and they don't work on Wall Street. Well, guess what? The problems are going to get moved in, and stuff like this is what you're going to have to deal with.
Thanks for being with us. I'm Mackenzie Maynard. We begin with the Nassau community who's concerned about its safety. So tonight they're meeting with county police looking for answers. Syosset residents and leaders say an increase of crime in the area has just become way too much to handle. News 12's Andrew Anger is there and joins us now with the latest. Andrew.
Well, inside Syosset High School's auditorium, about 100 people meeting with Nassau County Police and lawmakers tonight. The meeting coming in response after multiple small businesses, even some residents' personal property and vehicles had been broken into lately. Many here saying enough is enough.
I moved out of the city for a reason, to get away from, and get away from all the chaos.
Mark Berlund is fed up and says the increase in crime in the Syosset area has become unbearable. Tonight, Nassau legislator Joss Lafazan holding a public forum with Nassau police. The meeting coming in response to a burglary spree earlier this month where 12 Syosset small businesses were broken into in one night. Nassau police arrested a group of teens for the alleged crimes. The young people were from the nearby Mercy First residential foster care program for troubled youth. Mercy First has offered to pay for damages and is closing down that foster program in response. Still, minor crimes like these have plagued the island.
It's just one little section they're closing down. The rest is still going to be operational, including the teens that could be coming from here illegally being put there as well.
Residents here, plus legislator Lafazan, hope police can get the upper hand.
We need to increase focus on Syosset Woodbury. It's time. It's past time. I know the community
they're focused on the South Shore.
I've lived here my entire life. I've lost patience.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's scary.
And you notice the people in that story, none of them are a certain demographic. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? That's exactly why the problems are getting put there.
Certainly the feeling of many folks here in this meeting today, they're very concerned about the level of crime that's going on here in this area. Now, Legislator Lafazan says Mercy First was invited to this meeting. However, this evening they told him they were not going to show up, and that right here disappointed many folks in this auditorium wanting to hear from that organization about what they were going to do going forward here after they've closed this program. We hope to have more later. For now, in Syosset, Andrew Inger, News 12, Long Island.
So they actually did a very good job covering some very important stories today. You know, when News 12 does their job, I will commend them, and they did their job today, and I'm glad. Of course, they did spend some time on the South Shore, of course, but you know what I mean? As long as they cover the middle of the island, you know, they can cover the South Shore in the middle of the island, you know, we're fine. There were a couple of other stories, though, including this, that this one only got 30 seconds. And actually, I think we can get it here. Let's see. Long Island man drove drunk with 2 kids in the car. I don't know if this is the same story. No, Westbury woman. This is another one. So it says here, Westbury woman is accused of driving drunk with 2 kids in the car. According to police, Sheila Jedek, 31, is facing multiple charges, including WOI under Leander's Law. Officers responded to Babylon Turnpike and Cumberland Avenue Saturday night in Roosevelt, where they say the car collided with a parked tow truck. They say they found a 4-year-old girl bleeding from a cut on her forehead. And the 3-year-old boy did not appear to be hurt, and the children were released into the custody of a relative. So there you go. Some crime again. They didn't really cover that too much, but you know, at least they did cover some crime. You know, give them credit for that. And talking about some important things that we're dealing with here in the middle of the island, the reality of the crime. And we have this one as well. I don't know if I read this one or not, but this is a Long Island man drove drunk with 2 kids in the car. An officer on patrol observed a 2006 Lexus traveling westbound on Sunrise Highway with a defective headlight around 1:45 a.m. Sunday, June 26th in Massapequa Park. Also activated his emergency lights, conducted a vehicle stop at the intersection of Sunrise Highway and Manhattan Avenue. So Alexander Umazor, of age 37, of Freeport, was operating his vehicle under the influence of an alcoholic beverage. The defendant was placed into custody without incident. The vehicle's passengers included a 51-year-old man, a 49-year-old man, a 14-year-old boy, and a 12-year-old girl. So he's been charged 2 counts of driving while intoxicated, 2 counts of aggravated with the Leander's Law, 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. And he probably was let out on an appearance ticket, I'm going to take a guess. But you're going in Massapequa Park. It's interesting they were doing a patrol there in Massapequa Park, but yet when we read the other story here, with the Westbury woman, she got into a crash. So very interesting. They're patrolling Massapequa Park, but not really patrolling Roosevelt, where this person unfortunately had crashed before they were able to stop them, because again, Roosevelt is not, as a community of color, it's not going to be as important as those people in Massapequa Park. They got to be safe, Forget about Roosevelt; they don't count. Just like the middle of the island, Same thing. So let's now go and shift gears to the election. And we're going to talk about, this is an old article, but tomorrow is primary day. All right, and I'm going to read you this article here. And it's not good news. All right, it's not good news at all. I mean, it's just another sign of what we're dealing with here with the plan. There's a lot of money behind Hochul, a lot of Wall Street money that is behind her. So it says New York Governor Kathy Hochul speaks as she faces off with New York Public Advocate Jumaane Williams and Congressman Tom Suozzi during a New York governor debate on WNBC. So this article is from June 16th. All right, so it is a little old. I have not gotten around to it was updated June 22nd, however. So several Democratic and Republican candidates seeking their party's nomination for governor and lieutenant governor in Tuesday's primary have attracted hundreds of thousands of dollars in late campaign contributions that can fund hard-fought final rounds in their contests. Donors who contribute late in the primary and general elections are motivated by many factors the public doesn't often see, political strategists said, such as a campaign's internal polling that shows a candidate surging or faltering, or the desire to back a likely primary winner who, if elected, can sway government policy and spending. I think people want to get on the radar of whoever is going to win, said George Artz, a political advisor and former journalist and spokesman for former New York City Mayor Ed Koch. They may have been undecided at first or waiting, and now they are putting down their bets. The biggest recipient of those contributions from mid-June to Wednesday, of course, is Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul, who faces a primary against Representative Tom Suozzi and New York City Public Advocate Jumaane Williams. Hochul of Buffalo has received $506,813 in campaign contributions from June 13th to Tuesday, according to State Board of Elections records. The donors were CEOs and entrepreneurs, law firms. There you go. That says it all right there as to who the kind of people that support Hochul are. And New York City's largest public employee union, District 37 of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Workers. So there you go. It goes to show you what's going on here. This is the plan right here in the flesh, all right? Those contributions add to an already large lead in campaign contributions over Suozzi of Glen Cove and Williams of Brooklyn. This is a big problem with politics all over the country, man. We actually need to do something about campaign financing I think they all should get the same amount of money. I don't think one should get more than the other. And that would make things a lot more fair. But no, the rich would never have that. Hochul's lieutenant governor and running mate, former Hudson Valley Representative Antonio Delgado, received $259,800 during the period. Donors included real estate developers and hotel and transportation worker unions, according to state records. So you got a lot of money from real estate, Wall Street CEOs behind these people, all right? Now, he faces a challenge from Anna Marie Arkella and Diana Reyna in the Democratic primary. In New York, the lieutenant governor candidates run separately from the governor candidates in primaries. The winner of the lieutenant governor primary will become the running mate for his or her party's nominee for governor. During the mid-June to Wednesday period, Reyna received $10,000 and Arkella received $7,000. The donations for each candidate were from individuals. So it goes to show you it's more middle class, more grassroots. Reyna is a New York City councilwoman running with Suozzi. Arkella is a progressive activist running with Williams. In the Democratic primary for governor, Suozzi received $83,500 during their period, according to the state records. They include $10,000 from the Rent Stabilization Association, the largest advocate for landlords and other housing properties owners in New York. On the Republican side of the governor's race, former Westchester County Executive Rob Astorino received $99,500, including $50,000 from business owner and developer Thomas J. Tisch. Astorino faces off with Representative Lee Zeldin of Shirley, who has the support of most GOP county and state leaders. Former Trump administration advisor Andrew Giuliani and business owner Harry Wilson. Wilson has received $33,202 during the period, including $10,000 from business owner James Keller of Shelter Island. Wilson also already had millions of dollars more in campaign contributions because he lent his campaign $12 million from the money he used during turning faltering businesses around. No late contributions have so far been reported for Zeldin or Giuliani on the Republican side or Williams in the Democratic primary. Contributions were also sent to state parties, which can then use them to support their candidates for their choosing. The state Republican committee received $152,300, including $100,000 from New Jersey banker Vernon Hill. The state Democratic committee received $280,950, including political action camp committees representing trial lawyers, automobile dealers union, and the Rent Stabilization Association. When you get close to the end. When you get close to a deadline, it sort of makes up your mind. Arts said people want to get into the action and put their money down. So there you go. That is what New York is all about. It's about money. It's about Wall Street. It's about finance. And if you're not with these people, you're gonna have a big problem with trying to get your message heard. And like I said, it's pay to play politics in New York, unfortunately. Now, experts, state's mental health care system failing those, especially kids. The mental health care system in New York often fails between adults and children at long waits for treatment or no care coming at all. Experts testified on Wednesday at a public hearing convened by State Attorney General Letitia James. Advocates, doctors, and public officials said at the hours-long hearing that with insufficient services, people suffering mental health issues frequently are ending up homeless, in jail, or living in isolation at home instead of getting the treatment they need. It's a revolving door of short-term Band-Aid solutions, James said, adding that mental illness is not a crime. People suffering it deserve proper treatment. James said she convened the forum both to explore possible ways to reform the mental health care system and to pinpoint potential legal investigation of facilities that are violating the law by failing to provide required care. Children are not immune to the shortcomings of the mental health care system, James said, noting that the number of beds providing residential treatment for them in the state has been cut in half in the last decade, from 545 to 274. There you go, folks. New York is cutting mental health, and I can say it from personal experience when it comes to my own agency that I deal with. The people there are so overworked. I had an appointment today. Somebody was supposed to come and do a visit, never showed up. Their mailbox is full, and I have no way to reach them. This is what we go through, all right? She said that in 2018, there were 12,738 visits to emergency rooms by people who had harmed themselves. Some 4,500 of them were under 19 years old, according to the State Department of Health. While current data is not yet available, James said that number has undoubtedly grown since the pandemic. Some experts said many people experiencing mental health crises, including children, are going to ER rooms, their only option, because they can't get appointments with psychologists or psychiatrists. And yes, the agencies have been cut. There's so many have closed or merged, and there's so many cuts, it's hard to even get in touch with people. It's terrible. We used to have we actually had a fairly decent system until Cuomo came along. And Hochul, she's finishing his dirty job of just driving us out of New York. If you talk to families or you talk to healthcare providers, they all say the same story. Things are desperate out there, said Alice Bufkin, Associate Executive Director of Policy and Advocacy for Manhattan-based Citizens Committee for Children of New York. Children are presenting at younger and younger ages with serious mental illness. Families are blocked at every stage from finding care. Young people are cycling in and out of ERs and hospitals because they can't get the care they need early. Most of the testimony came from New York City-based providers and experts, and none from Long Island. Unbelievably, none from Long Island. But a Northwell Health psychiatrist in a telephone interview echoed many of the same concerns. Dr. Scott Crower, a child-adolescent psychiatrist at Northwell Health, said that children with severe mental health issues typically wait 2 to 6 months just to get a full evaluation. Then they wait months more to start receiving treatment. That is unacceptable. And again, Governor Hochul has not said anything about expanding the mental health system in this state. All right? I don't think we are meeting the needs of children, he said, though healthcare systems are trying their best. One root of the problem is that there are simply not enough psychologists and psychiatrists who treat children. That was always the case even before the pandemic, and it's just more now as cases of depression, anxiety, and other issues increase. Ron Richter, CEO of New York City-based JCCA, formerly known as the Jewish Child Care Association, said that improving mental health care system is critical to preventing more tragedies. Things like Buffalo and Texas with children getting killed are happening when we had the warnings about young people who are struggling mightily and end up harming themselves or harming others. We don't want to see that happening again, and we know the warning signs. We are just not affording the treatment, and this is a big problem in New York. And the last thing we're going to talk about here, the last article from Newsday, is going to be, and of course I copied them. I'll find the links. I'll put them below. But this is Jefferson Plaza. They want to build a new mixed-use housing and retail complex. And the reason why I'm going over this is that there's going to be affordable housing as a component to this. But of course, this is in Port Jefferson Station. Not surprising. Why can't they put this in Rockville Center or Patchogue or Babylon? But no. So one of Long Island's oldest shopping centers is getting a makeover that will include hundreds of apartments in addition to a revamped retail section. So it's Jefferson Plaza and Port Jefferson Station will be transformed into a miniature downtown with a main street dividing homes and shops under plans drawn up by its owner, Islandia-based Staller Associates Realty. Now, we all know there's a similar project that was done in Wyandanch and it hasn't done anything. All right? The plan, because the crime in the neighborhood, people don't want to move to a neighborhood with a lot of crime. All right. The plan, which has been circulating among community groups, has the support of some Brookhaven town officials and civic leaders who say it would spruce up the downtrodden area. It's a massive project. Most people who are aware of it are on board with it, said Salvatore Pitti, president of the Port Jefferson Station Terryville Civic Association. It's a plus for the whole neighborhood. For us, we're looking at it as the beating heart that will bring back the neighborhood. All right. So the new plaza would make use of a new code that would allow the addition of housing on commercial properties. Town officials have said the code, adopted 2 years ago, is intended to help redevelop or aging or abandoned businesses. Staller Vice President Valentin Staller said the company has applied for the zoning change, but a date for the public hearing has not yet been set. So Jefferson Plaza, located on the 10.4-acre site at the intersection of Terryville Road and State Route 112, was built in 1959, 3 years after Roosevelt Field opened. The 112,000-square-foot shopping center includes a paint store, gym, and coffee shop, but several tenants such as Rite Aid has left in recent years. The plans for the revamped plaza call for 280 apartments, including 56 units reserved for people with developmental disabilities. And that's very good to see. I'm glad to see that. But why is it happening there and not everywhere? Again, why not in Patchogue? Why doesn't Patchogue get that? All right? Because only a certain demographic doesn't want that, And a 49,400-square-foot retail section, including a food court, gym, and other shops. A new street in the development could be closed for community events. So I'm in favor of this. I think, I'm not against it. I'm just saying, isn't it interesting that these kind of developments, when there's a large affordable housing component, are never in those lily white South Shore towns, like Patchogue, Babylon, Sayville, Rockville Center, Belmore. It's always in the middle of the island or on some areas that are struggling. And, if they can turn it around, that's great. But I'm more concerned that we're just going to see another case of Wyandanch Rising. All right? And we all know what Wyandanch Rising is. We're going to go to the map right now. We're going to look, and I'm going to show you. It's right here. It was a whole project they built by the train station. It was supposed to really revitalize this area. But most of these apartments are Section 8 because they never fixed the crime issues in the area. So nobody really wanted to move there. And it all became mostly Section 8. And as far as businesses go, I think you still have a good deal of empty businesses here. Let's see what we have. All right, we have Domino's. This was as of December 2021. Or we have a bank here. It looks like that's an empty business there. All right. This kind of reminds you of someplace like the thing they built in Mineola. That has all the empty stores. Same thing. Another empty store. Space available. KB department store. Probably like a low-income shop here. Let's see what we got here. That's empty. That was as of November 2020. Look like there was something in there as of November 20. A doctor's office, it looks like. And then, this looks nice. They really fixed it up nice, but nobody's coming because they never fixed the crime issues. They've got 7-Eleven. They got a beauty supply. So this is what it's going to look like, probably, what you're going to see in Port. And, it's a nice-looking building, but the neighborhood is still dangerous. And, great 56 apartments with people who have disabilities, but why not in Patchogue? Why just in Wyandanch? Why just in Port Jefferson Station? We all know why that is. New Jersey, they built developments like that have that are in decent areas, like Tom's River. All right? But no, not here, because, again, we are being driven out. This is the plan in action. All right? So I'll show you where this shopping center is here. I believe this is it right here. We're Terryville Road. Yeah, this is it right here. So this is the shopping center here where they want to... And this is very rundown over here. And we'll just show you here what it's like. It's actually... this is from 2018. It's worse now than that back then. Wish they had a newer, more current one. Let's see. We'll see if there's a newer view from Route 112 here. This is October 2019. Guys, I think that this thing went out. This bank went out. Or credit union, and the Rite Aid went out. You can see it looks like there's a temporary store there. But yeah, this is the shopping center here. A lot of stores have closed. You have a lot of criminal activity, homeless people hanging around here. This is what it is here in the middle of the island here. Again, space available. So this is what they want to do. And I think it's a good redevelopment project. But if they don't fix the problems in the neighborhood, nobody is going to come. It's just going to be another Wyandanch Rising. Hey, it was a Gillig right there. But it's just going to be another Wyandanch Rising type of deal. And this bus stop here, there's been a lot of stuff going on at this bus stop you don't want to know about, obviously. Hey, there's a bus. That's a next gen. This is what we get to deal with here in the middle of the island. This is, again, those that are in their enclaves. Like Patchogue. I know part of Patchogue isn't so nice, but the village itself is doing very well. And, again, these apartments here, why can't a third of these apartments that they built over here be for people with disabilities? No, because, again, it's a certain demographic. It's a thriving area. People with disabilities aren't allowed to live there. This is what is going on here on Long Island. Everything I've read to you is all about the plan to drive us out, and they are driving us out. And tomorrow, you have a chance to say enough and say no, and vote for Tom Suozzi as the Democratic nominee. All right, if you are a registered Democrat, and if you're a registered Republican, I think you should be voting for Rob Astorino. All right, and tomorrow will be a very telling day. But if what happens is what I expect to happen is that Hochul will become the nominee for the Democratic Party, and Zeldin will be the nominee for the Republican Party, and they're both a bunch of arrogant snobs, and I can't stand either one of them. And that kind of represents what has taken over New York. And unfortunately, the sad truth is, if that is the case, then New York is not really going to be the place for me anymore. I can't do it alone anymore. Maybe if I meet somebody, but alone, I can't survive here anymore. I'm going to have to go live in New Jersey. So that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you for watching. Have a good night, and remember to get out and vote tomorrow.